Welcome back to the Vault. Today we're looking into the most recent charges of Jeremy Dewitte. Jeremy Dewitte is a well-known police impersonator, especially after he went on the Dr. Phil show. Now, my original video was taken down for the YouTube policy which says you can't reveal personally identifiable information. It's not publicly released unless they are a public figure. On both fronts, every single piece of information in the previous video is fully available to the public, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I'm going to go ahead and remake this and follow the guidelines. So that said, I've taken every piece of information and redacted out any type of address, email, last names, third parties. Just completely got rid of all the information. I'll be making another video about the Lake County charges, which is interesting because it ties directly back to the Dr. Phil show. So stay tuned for that. Firstly, there were a lot of questions around the sentencing for the time served on revocation of probation, so I decided to add this part in the video for clarification. According to Jeremy's file, he pled guilty to violation of probation and was sentenced to 365 days in the Orange County Jail with 302 days credit of time served, which gives him 63 days left to serve. If you look at the screen, it's clearly laid out. You can't miss it. It's not what I'm saying, it's what Orange County's saying. If you read carefully, like I said, his probation is terminated or revoked, and he's meant to spend the probation time in jail. He will have a GPS ankle monitor when he gets out, though I assume that's not for a while considering the pending charges. The strange part to me is that they deemed him not to pose a danger to the community, which I thought was funny. I'm really hoping that Polk County and Sheriff Grady can put him down for a while. But if I'm being honest, this train wreck of a human being is really funny to watch. So the more time Jeremy's out, the more content we get, right? If you look here, Jeremy was given bond on all 9 counts of $5,000 each. One of my subs said that Jeremy and his side chick were trying to convince Jeremy's mom to put up her house for bail, and she said, heck no. Quick shout out to Tom Wilson, by the way, one of my subscribers. Now, real quick before we proceed, just so you know, this beginning part's going to be a little bit dry, but it's going to kind of intensify as we go. So here we're looking at the plea on all of his charges. It's a quick snippet of the charges. As you can see, he pled not guilty on all charges. I'm really hoping he goes to trial so I can go. I'm really hoping that some of you join me as well. I'm trying to convince a friend of mine to go with me, so we'll see how that goes. As you can see here, Jeremy was appointed a public defender. It looks like the well is kind of run dry here and no more Amir Ladan. He was obligated to finish out the previous case because he was the primary. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It looks like Detective Warner actually put together a pretty good case, and I don't know, I just don't think Jeremy's being offered a sweetheart deal this time. He doesn't have any police harassment he can fall back on to try and get himself a better charge. Okay, so here is count 1, and this one's involving esurance. Count 1 is false and fraudulent vehicle application, a third-degree felony. One thing you'll notice as we go is every charge is clearly laid out with corresponding evidence, so there's lots of information to dissect here. On March 22nd, 2020, Jeremy Dewitte submitted his insurance application to esurance. Jeremy listed his wife, Rania, as the primary driver and Jay Dewitte as the secondary driver. Detective Warner was able to link the policy directly to Jeremy Dewitte from his ex-offender registry email and phone number. Now use your rhyme and word, folks, because we can't say certain things on YouTube. Jeremy has indicated that none of his vehicles would be used for commercial purposes. There are 2 recorded phone calls between Jeremy and esurance, proving that he enacted the policy. And when Jeremy had originally called esurance to update his credit card information, he learned that his policy was canceled on March 10th, 2020. So he decided to create a new policy. Phone got disconnected at one point, and esurance called him back, and Jeremy answered, Metro State. Now, Jeremy then verifies his email address, accepts the policy terms online, and then the VIN numbers were verified. One belongs to his wife, Rania, and the other to Metro State, which is a registered funeral escort company. You know, it's a state certified agency, vehicle protection unit. Esurance gave a statement saying that had the truth been revealed about the sirens, lights, and decals on the vehicle, the insurance policy would not have been issued. On December 14, 2020, investigators met with Rania to discuss the insurance application since she was listed as a primary insured, despite the fact that Jeremy was on the recorded calls with Esurance. Detectives initially believed that Rania was an additional suspect in the case. Now, she gave a sworn statement claiming, "My husband takes care of this. He's the one that got me the policy, and I don't know what's going on. He, as in Jeremy, is taking care of my insurance. My husband put my name on the policies." Investigators asked who applied for the insurance policies, and she stated, "I didn't apply for any of that. Like, he put my name in there," meaning Jeremy. Investigators claim this is a common scheme for insurance fraud to avoid paying higher premiums. Now on to count number 2. Count number 2 is actual. Offender failed to report insured vehicle, and it's a third-degree felony. Investigators pulled Jeremy's registration data and reviewed what he reported for 2020, since he's required to report all vehicles since he was convicted of lewd and lascivious battery. On February 28th of 2020, Jeremy completed a ex-offender registration with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, listed 21 vehicles, and signed a statement saying that all of his vehicles are listed and he recognizes that he must report any new vehicle within 48 hours. The statement reads as an ex-predator. I understand that I am required to, by law, to abide by the following, and it goes on the list of rules he needs to follow to remain compliant, and part of that is failure to report this information within 48 hours is considered a third-degree felony. So it's not some sort of surprise. He knew exactly what he needed to do to remain compliant. On March 22nd, 2020, the insurance policy from Count 1 became effective. The policy listed a 2008 Ford F-150 with Rania as the primary driver. Despite the vehicle being registered to Metro State since 2018, it was not listed as one of the 21 vehicles on the February 28th, 2020 ex-offender registration. On April 13th, 2020, Jeremy had updated his ex-offender registration and once again failed to register the 2008 Ford F-250. And I assume they want this done so the police can identify ex-offenders' vehicles if they're in suspicious neighborhoods or if they need to find a particular suspect. I mean, that's just my assumption there. On May 12, 2020, Jeremy updated his ex-offender registration. This time, Jeremy managed to add the 2008 Ford F-250. There was a 51-day period in which the vehicle wasn't registered with the offender registry after the new policy was enacted. I know it's been a little dry thus far, like I said before, but just hang in there with me, guys. It gets better as we go from here. I'm just going in chronological order. Okay, so count number 3 is false and fraudulent vehicle insurance application, which is a third-degree felony. On March 29, 2020, Jeremy submitted an application to the General Insurance Company. Investigators reviewed the application for a 2012 Charger, a 2011 Charger, 2010 Charger, 2009 Chevy Impala police package. Once again, the insured was listed as Rania. I would assume since she has a clean driving record, but who knows. The policy listed Rania as a single female with no other members in her household. All of the vehicles were listed for personal use with no prior damage. Now pay attention to this part because you will notice a pattern of prior damage. Now, despite being listed as no prior damage, Jeremy filed an insurance claim for collision damage on the 2012 Dodge Charger 2 years earlier in 2018 with Geico Insurance. There was an additional questionnaire that asked if the vehicles would be used for commercial purposes or if it had a company logo, and the answers were no. Now, at this time, the 2010 Dodge Charger was registered to Metro State Special Services Vehicle Protection Unit, which was registered to one Jeremy Motor 1 Dewitte, Esquire. On December 14, 2020, Detective Warner met with Rania to interview her regarding the insurance application along with the eSurance application, so both the general and the eSurance applications. Rania right away threw Jeremy under the bus, stating, "I don't know what's going on. He's taking care of my insurance. My husband put my name on these policies. I did not," emphasize not, "put myself on any of this insurance." Detective Warner showed Rania the policies, and she stated that none of them were hers. Okay, so count 4 is false and fraudulent insurance claim under $20,000, a third-degree felony, and count 5 is communications fraud over $300, which is also a third-degree felony. On May 15, 2020, a motor vehicle crash occurred in Orlando, Orange County, Florida. The crash report indicated that the crash involved a 2009 Chevy Impala registered to 4-star General Jeremy Dewitte, Metro State, and 2015 Nissan Rogue. The report states that the Nissan Rogue was insured by a subsidiary of USAA, which is ironic since it's a military insurance company. And on May 18, 2020, the claim notes that Jeremy Dewitte called USAA to initiate an insurance claim. USAA provided a recorded telephone call to investigators, and Jeremy identified himself as the victim and described his account of the crash. On June 4, 2020, Jeremy made another recorded statement to USAA. In typical Jeremy fashion, he claims that the other driver did a pit-like maneuver on his vehicle and he is unable to recover from it and slowed to a stop. Jeremy stated he provided his own dash camera footage to a trooper, and when he saw it, he said, "Oop, yep, there it is," and determined that the other driver changed lanes into his vehicle and she was at fault. Jeremy said that he was able to drive the vehicle away from the crash scene, and nobody required medical attention. Despite his statements, the crash report does not list Jeremy as the driver, instead lists one of his employees or quote-unquote contractors. There were several emails in the claim file, and USAA looked into the metadata. Here's kind of where things start to get interesting from here. On June 7, 2020, Jeremy submitted 6 photographs of alleged damage to support his claim. After reviewing the metadata, 3 had no metadata. 1 was taken around the time of the crash, and 2 were taken on July 3, 2017, nearly 3 years prior to the crash. Now, real quick, metadata is information that's forensic information left behind on a photograph, which identifies location, time, and place where pictures are taken. So if you ever are feeling tempted to to falsify a claim, don't. Now, later on June 7th, Jeremy submitted 7 more photos of the alleged damage with a statement claiming broken or shorted equipment. Now, 1 photo showed no metadata. 5 were taken in 2019, 1 January 6, 2019, 2 September 23, 2019, and 2 on November 4, 2019, and 1 was taken on July 3rd of 2017, which were all before the incident ever happened. On June 16, 2020, Jeremy submitted an invoice from Audio Excellence, Inc. for the amount of $1,852.04 for reimbursement, which he claimed to have paid to Audio Excellence. This was a 4-man labor team, which was used in another claim for an accident that happened in Polk County on February 25th, 2018. Watch out for Sheriff Grady Judd. He's coming to get you, Jeremy. Jeremy removed the date from the invoice to avoid detection. The company is actually no longer called Audio Excellence. It's now called HG2 Emergency Lighting. The manager confirmed that Jeremy had not paid the invoice in 2018 or 2020. USAA was unaware at the time of the payment that these photos were taken prior to the crash. Despite not being in the vehicle during the crash, USAA paid $2,000 for injuries on top of the $7,490 issued for repairs on the 2009 Chevy Impala police package. Okay, so let's move on to count 6, 7, and 8. Count 6 is a staged motor vehicle crash, which is a second-degree felony. Count 7 is a false and fraudulent insurance claim under $20,000, which is a third-degree felony. And count 8 is communications fraud, which is a third-degree felony. On October 11, 2020, Jeremy was involved in another motor vehicle crash in Orlando. Jeremy was driving a 2012 Chevy Tahoe registered to Metro State when it collided with a 2008 Mercedes-Benz SUV. Later, on October 11, 2020, Jeremy initiated a claim with Infinity Insurance. He claimed damage to his vehicle along with neck and back pain that comes to a surprise to nobody. Investigators met with Jen, who was a passenger in the vehicle at the time of the crash. She gave a sworn statement that was audio recorded, informing investigators that the crash was not accidental, but intentional. She said that Jeremy informed her that he purposely collided with the other vehicle as it was attempting to go around Jeremy's vehicle in a turning lane to cause a crash so he could receive funds from an insurance claim and, quote-unquote, protect families in the funeral procession. Oh, I can hear Jeremy screaming, "Get out of my funeral!" Investigators interviewed the other driver involved in the crash with his attorney. The crash victim claims he believes that Jeremy crashed into him on purpose, speeding up for no reason until the crash occurred. He said he was changing lanes and there was plenty of room. The victim stated that Jeremy got a $10,000 settlement from his insurance company, which caused him to pay higher rates for his insurance. On December 4th, 2020, the manager from Infinity Insurance contacted Jeremy regarding the damage related to his claim. On December 7th, Jeremy sent an email with photos and invoices for the claim. Now, if you haven't noticed yet, Jeremy does a good job of documenting his crimes. So, anyhow, on December 7th, 2020, Jeremy wrote an email to the insurance company claiming his unit will need equipment to be replaced, lights, a new bumper, stickers, which would exceed the $10,000 limit. Jeremy then followed up with another email later that day with photos and invoices for the alleged costs incurred during the crash. Investigators reviewed 4 invoices sent by Jeremy in support of his claim that were also sent to USAA in support of that insurance claim in May of 2020, 5 months prior to this crash, including the invoice from Audio Excellence of $1,852.04. Now, criminal charges are pending in Polk County State's Attorney's Office. I've got the DIFS case number, so I'm looking into that. This is the 3rd time Jeremy has used the same invoice for an insurance claim. Jeremy also sent 2 SirenNet.com invoices in the amount of $563.50 and $215.24 in support of his claim and the USAA claim. On top of this, Jeremy submitted another invoice for $455.80 from HG2 Emergency Lighting, previously known as Audio Excellence. Jeremy once again submitted another invoice in the amount of $852 from Wired for Less to Infinity and USAA Insurance. In further support of his claim, Jeremy submitted another invoice from Audio Excellence in the amount of $13,716.27. He's so brazen. Which includes items for motorcycles, even though this crash involved a Chevy Tahoe. No motorcycles involved. 4 photos were submitted by Jeremy in support of his claim that were also submitted to USAA. USAA checked the metadata on the photos and discovered they were all taken in 2019 before the crash. On December 15, 2020, Jeremy wrote an email to Infinity with the signed release form accepting $10,000 from Infinity Insurance, and it was issued. Therefore, go ahead and securing that next felony. So, good job, Jeremy. Okay, so count 9 is an organized scheme to defraud under $20,000, which is a third-degree felony. On March 22nd, 2020 to December 15th, 2020, Jeremy Dewitte engaged in a systematic, ongoing course of conduct with the intent to defraud several auto insurance companies by false or fraudulent pretenses and representations. The defendant submitted false and fraudulent motor vehicle insurance applications to pay a lower insurance premium. The defendant submitted the same photographs and invoices to insurance carriers, in each insurance claim claiming the invoices and photographs that related to the specific claim, and the defendant intentionally caused a crash in order to obtain insurance proceeds. The defendant received insurance settlements for these claims, which he would not have otherwise been entitled to had he been truthful as to the facts of the loss and damage sustained. Okay, so here are the different types of discovery as outlined by the prosecution. So it looks like we have statements, both written and or recorded statements, paper documentation, electronic surveillance. I'm really curious what kind of electronic surveillance they have, and documents that were seized and papers that belong to the defendant. Okay, so here's the supplemental discovery from March 16th of 2023. It's the first tranche of discovery, which includes 17 DVDs/CDs of video, interviews, and documents. I can't wait till we all get to see those and see what's actually in these files. It's going to be interesting. Okay, so here is the next supplemental discovery from May 11th of 2023. So here we got an email from Jen, and I wonder if this one's throwing him under the bus, or if she wrote an email rescinding her testimony, because she does this often. She's always flip-flopping, you know. She's really the one who's responsible for bringing down Jeremy, because she gave so much evidence to the police. And I don't understand why he continues this way, but they're both in their own world, I guess, a little cuckoo. Okay, so here is the supplemental discovery from May 18th, 2023. So we've got the jail visitor logs, and I wonder what that's about. If they're wondering who's coming to see Jeremy, I wonder if, you know, maybe they might want to hear what him and Jen are discussing and how often she might come to see him. Because, you know, he is so stupid over these communications. He talks about things he really shouldn't, and we all know he's not above witness tampering. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think that's about? What do you think the surveillance is about? I'm so intrigued. So I want to see what that's about. Okay, so here's the Lake County docket information that shows Jeremy was arraigned and at a pretrial conference, and that he was not there since he was in Orange County Jail. Now, this is going to lead directly back to the Dr. Phil show, and I was going to just add it to this video, but there's a bunch of information, so I'm going to be adding some video clips with it too, because Jeremy made a video about it. It's also on the Dr. Phil show, is what brought this on, because Jeremy didn't like the results of the Dr. Phil show. So I'll get more into that in the next video. Let me know if you guys want to see that. Put Dr. Phil in the comments below, and I'll make sure and get that one done as soon as possible. Okay, so the offense date on the Lake County charges is February 18th, 2021, and the charge is related to petty theft between $100 and $750, which is a misdemeanor. Jeremy pled not guilty to the charges. Before, I didn't read too much into this one, but now I have. And, you know, at first I thought it was, you know, one of Jeremy's check canceling schemes, you know, claiming fraudulent charges, and it is fraudulent credit card charges. You know, everybody knows he's real good at that. He admits to it on jail phone calls. It's unreal. So I'm going to be putting a whole bunch of information together on this one, from the Dr. Phil show, from a video Jeremy made, and all of the Lake County information that's been released so far. Got to go through and redact anything that has like a last name, whatever. I'm not taking any chances. So I'm going to make sure that gets done right. You guys all know the characters. If you don't, write it down in the comments and I'll fill you in, okay? All right, so to wrap it up here are the directions on how to get public data on Jeremy Dewitte. I'm thinking about ordering some jail calls. I said this in the previous video, so let me know what you think in the comments below. I just want to thank you to everyone that stuck it out this far. You stuck it out this far, you made it all through all of this monotonous detail. But, you know, if you're into the Jeremy Dewitte information, this is all gold to you. So Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. Appreciate all of your support. Little Motor is rolling.